G'day YouTube. Warbles on a lot here. Look at this. Just like old times. Seven chuffs. Lots of swamp wallabies. There's also been currawongs, magpies, crimson rosellas, all kinds of wild critters turning up here. And perhaps it is indeed due to the Tower of Shower and Light. And the presence of water. Maybe they left here 6 months ago because my dam was dry and they went across the other side of the valley and my neighbours had 70 cattle drinking out of that and it's gone dry too and now they've come back. I don't know. But I've got it down to a pretty fine art now. I have 10 sprinkler stations, 3 tripods. I move the tripods around the stations. Last night I put 850 litres out through that in 18 minutes. And then 10 lots of 450 litres in 9 minute sections with that one. All around the perimeter of the 1,000 square metres. So I think I'm probably watering 5,600 square metres, 0.56 of a hectare, 1.5 acres. But the stuff underneath the Toro monsoon is getting more water than the stuff out on the periphery. And would you believe I have now become a man of 3 fire pumps? Neighbour suggested to me that rather than loading my firefighting pump into my car and driving it over to the bore water tank, pumping water for 3/4 of an hour and then loading the pump back up and bringing it home again, which leaves me without a firefighting pump connected to anything for 2-3 hours from start to finish. He suggested it'd be a better idea if I left my pump over here at the bore tank. Thought about that. Hurt one kneecap kicking myself in the arse for having sold the 3 horsepower transfer pump when I upgraded to the first Chongqing Lifan, or actually it's apparently pronounced Lifan. I went to go and buy it back. No deal, couldn't buy the 3 horsepower transfer pump back. Already been sold. See, I provided it in the box with a logbook, all that. On the other hand, I have different fingers. So now I have 2 Chongqing Lifans and a second-hand Davy firefighter. And considering I've got 9 fire hoses, I might even perhaps stick a valve and a Stort's fitting on the top of that. In which case, not only do I have a bald, bare, grazed, empty sheep farm as a refuge area to stand among the rocks after it all goes wrong up there, I can have a firefighting pump and a hose in my refuge area if I've left any water in it, because I'm probably going to beg, plead and grovel for permission to use this if I'm still fighting fire after I've sucked my dam dry. Before I run out of water in the buoy walls, yeah, I'll scoot down here and transfer water up, I think. Don't know. Haven't discussed that yet with my neighbour, but I can't imagine that he would have suggested to me that I stick a pump there for firefighting if he didn't think it'd be okay for me to use the water in an emergency. That's my reading of the situation, and I'm not good at social interpretations and stuff, but I don't think I've read him wrong on that one. And I will have to get a hold of a couple of dust, well, a dust cap and a dust plug. But somehow it just sort of hurts my feelings to see those open orifices in the face of so much potential dust and dirt and grit ingress. Here's how the day went. 7:45 in the morning, no cattle in sight, and there was 18,000 litres up there. I sucked theoretically 6,000 litres out, brought it down to 12,000 litres, but by the time I'd finished sucking it out, 950 litres had gone back in by 8:25 in the morning. At a time when the sun was still fairly low on the horizon and there was a fair bit of bushfire smoke in the sky this morning. So I had to do a little bit of head scratching to figure out that the reason the pump was able to put so much water into the tank on so little electricity, 950 litres in 40 minutes, is because in the morning the bore casing is full. So you've got 70 litres of water sitting on top of the pump. So the pump inlet is being pressurised at around about 100 psi, which means you don't actually need as much electricity to get it to go 20 metres to the ground and 15 metres up here, as when the water level's down close to the pump and you're looking at 90 or 100 metres, 110 perhaps, from the pump's inlet to the top of the tank. So yeah, that's why it makes so much water early in the morning. And then we have 8:25 to 9:25, 9:55, a lot of smoke and haze and cloudy shit going on in the day. 3:22, 16,500 litres. It was inflowing. First cattle appeared at the trough. What's that? 8 minutes later, 3.48 amps inflowing at the tank, gurgling and carrying on. And I was here last at sort of 3:30, 4 p.m. No, it was 4 p.m. The water level was the same. I walked down the hill and measured the current flowing through the cable coming out of the solar panels, and it was making 4.6 amps at 4 p.m. Right now, that's empty, that's empty, that's empty, that's full, empty, full. Right, so somewhere around there is what the water level is. And all the cows have finished drinking. None of them are at the trough. I actually saw the back end of the last one headed off in that general direction north towards the homestead while I was trying to catch this on video. So if we follow this rung around the novel, what we find is 14,750 litres, down from 16.5. So yeah, the cattle have drunk 1,700 litres, and that is the second time the cattle have drunk, well, 1,750 litres back on the 10th of November, 1,700 litres today. And if anybody had ever told me in my previous 58 years of existence that I would one day come to the point of meticulously measuring and observing and analysing the water consumption of a herd of cattle versus the delivery rate of a solar panel, I would have said they were mad. But anyway, that's the state of my fire plan at the moment. 14,500 litres sitting on the front lawn with a fire pump and 9 fire hoses and 2 sprinklers and 1 water cannon and another firefighting pump used as a delivery pump on the dam with, I don't know, I can probably pull at least 12,000 litres out of that before sucking mud. And in extremis, there's maybe 16,000 litres there, sometimes 18,000, sometimes 12,000. Sort of depends how much I've been allowed to take out of it in the immediate 24 hours before the fire hits. How shiny is your fire plan? Because mine's got quite a glow up at the moment. A lustrous fire plan, I would call it. And I reckon after I run out of water up there, if I have to come down here and use this as a refuge area, look at this. There's even literally a slit trench in which to lay down and hide from the radiant heat at ground level. If that makes any sense. So, who's laughing at me now? How long have I been telling people that global warming is winning? How long has Australia's politicians been unfit for purpose? We have 7 large air tankers in Australia. Australia owns one of them. 10 months ago, our illustrious Liberal national government sold off a fucking squadron of C-130 Hercules. And they refused to speak with a bunch of retiring fire brigade commissioners, emergency services commissioners. Can you believe that? After the fire on the Friday night, everybody who came out of it was talking about global warming. And Australia's Deputy Prime Minister said he wasn't interested in the opinions of politically correct, city-based, woke, green extremists. That's what he said when the mayor of my hometown, whose house was on Waitalabar, who delivered my son at an elective home birth, when she came out and said that we've got to do something about the reality of global warming, political bullshit just won't cut the mustard any longer. Yeah, she got called a city-based political activist. There are people who are saying that it's scandalous that I should have to make such preparations as this. I only make such preparations because I can see shit coming. You know, when you see a light at the end of the tunnel, it doesn't mean that General Westmoreland's about to win in Vietnam. What it means is there's a fucking train rolling down the tracks. Get out of the way. Find somewhere to hide. All this stuff that I've been watering, it's actually still alive, which is a bit of a mixed blessing. On the one hand, moisture content, thermal mass. On the other hand, it's tea tree. Tea tree oil is volatile. On the whole, though, I still figure if I can wet it down a couple of times a week, give it 0.9 of a millimetre at midnight, every 3 or 4 days. Isn't technology wonderful? A bit late for the trees. And the Tower of Shower and Light makes it all just glorious. Ah, the chuffs are back. The chuffs are back. Can you believe that? The chuffs are back. I even installed my daughter's Christmas present, first aid and fire extinguisher stickers, on the plate that I installed to receive her magnetic L plate and magnetic P plate, neither of which ever got there. But yeah, I'm not city based, but how woke am I, eh? See that? Vote green or die. Global warming culls. 21 May 2016. Copyright Chris Wharton. I didn't buy that. I didn't have it given to me. I had them printed. Because, as strange as it may seem, I'm not as silly as I look. And Jesus, isn't that a bloody good thing? It's not even an original saying. It's what my father used to say. So there you go. How shiny and lustrous is my fire plan? Even the Corax Melanoy Hamphos appear to approve. Warbles on a lot to YouTube. Tomorrow's another day. Ciao. See the trucks? Oh, it's just so good to have them back. Hello. You reckon it's biscuit o'clock, do you? Hmm? Hey? Come on. Come on. Hey. Come on. Come on. There you go. Come on. Yeah. All right, you're too scared? Want a biggie? Who wants a biggie? Hey, come on. Now, these are the usual crew. They are all here every day. I accept the fact that there's not much food anywhere else, and there's pretty much no water anywhere else. So it may be what some people call cupboard love. They only like it here because I give them free food. And there is another angle to it. Perhaps this is a case of eat, drink and be merry, for tomorrow we fry. But I hope not, and I'll do what I can to stop this place from burning. And to be honest, compared to the rest of the whole bit of land, this clearing is a refuge area. And a curious phenomenon means that you can have 60 kilometres an hour of wind 150 metres away, and here it can be absolutely dead still and calm. Doesn't happen all the time. Not every wind from every direction behaves like that. But on Tuesday, the big breakout day, when I spent half the day walking around in my PPE trousers, because it's pretty slow getting your taipans on and getting your trousers bloused around the bottoms so that embers can't come up the legs of your strides. And the forecast horror winds never got here because there was so much smoke in the air that the air at ground level for a couple of thousand feet was too dense for the forecast winds to be able to push their way through. So my son's Cat 7 that was spotted at Deepwater at 11 o'clock in the morning with a task force of 5 ready to go north, south, east or west, it didn't get on the fire ground till 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Young fella, me lad, went to work, having cancelled several jobs, and he went to work in his Cat 9, which is a Toyota Land Cruiser, all kitted out to be a miniature fire truck. He was waiting for whatever broke out to be called away from work so he could go off and be the deputy sector commander. So he's come up in the world. I think he can command about 12 trucks at the moment, maybe more, maybe 50. I don't know. He's on the ball. He's a serious little firefighter. Well, he's a big firefighter. He's bigger than me. It occurred to me just I don't know, a day or two ago, maybe it was this morning. It's a bit of a feedback loop when I ask him for advice about this place, you know, like, what would you do, you know? Is it worth staying to defend? Because I'm the bloke who taught him how to think about firefighting. So he's only going to tell me what I taught him how to think. But it seems to work for him. pretty sure it'll work for me. And as I said, my neighbours dug me a slit trench and put a bloody water tank at the head of the trench, out in the middle of what I've been thinking of as a refuge area for pretty much the whole time I've been living up here. Because compared to the endangered species sanctuary, the sheep farmers always had a much lower fuel burn out on the cleared area where the bar lambs graze. Isn't that right, eh? Isn't that right? That's why you'd rather live here, because there's more stuff to eat. Is that right? Is that right, eh? So yeah, hopefully this isn't just one last glorious couple of weeks before it all goes up in flames, but it may be the case. The thing is, there's no significant rain forecast this side of March. And that's what the optimists say. The pessimists say 2021. It's all got to do with the Indian Ocean dipole and the Southern Pacific Ocean Oscillation Index and stuff that I understand when I look at it and read about it and think about it. But then if I don't think about it continuously for a couple of days, it just sort of escapes my mind, because it's more interesting to try and ponder what the swamp wallabies are thinking than to try and understand why it is that a particular place is as hot as it is and as dry as it is on a particular day. The underlying initiator is that there's more carbon dioxide in the air today than there was for the last 4 million years. And the swamp wallabies didn't do it. Did you? No, you didn't do that. No, you got better sense than that. Yeah, you're not bloody stupid. You're not stupid. No, not individually and not even collectively. So that was afternoon tea, apparently. It was good. Hey, it was good. The tower of shower and light with the tower of power in the background. Yes, it's a very shiny fire plan, even if I do say so myself. After that little false ending, which happens in the best of regulated YouTube channels, warbles on a lot to YouTube. You have a good one, because I am really sort of enjoying myself, actually. I have a really major, massive challenge. Isn't it a good thing that I didn't spend the last 3 months carving propellers and trying to sell them in the art gallery? Because that actually had been my plan before my daughter broke a leg and I decided to try and fix up my carved walking stick in time for her to, you know, get off crutches. And then I broke 2 axe handles. And by the time I got the axe fixed, I noticed that it was pretty much time to start bushfire prepping, because nothing else mattered. Not if you're going to live here. And I actually like living here. So we shall see what we shall see. And in an ideal world, all of the time and the effort I've put into bushfire prepping is going to turn out to be negative sympathetic magic, because the fire will go somewhere else. At least, that's the theory. Warbles on a lot to YouTube. For real this time. Ciao.